Tim Moore, Speaker Moore, has represented Cleveland County in the legislature since 2002. And I'm pleased to tell you this morning, you're going to know this story I'm telling you. I'm pleased to let you know that Representative Moore has always had a strong connection to Farm Bureau. Just when he was elected his first term, or right before he was elected in his first term, all of you remember Jack Sissom, Jack and Mona Sissom from Cleveland County. Jack Sissom was a long time he was county president in Cleveland County, a long-time state board member. Jack called me or saw me in a board meeting, and Jack said, he said, Larry, we've got a good young man that's just been elected from Cleveland County, going to the legislature, and he's going to do a good job for agriculture. We know him. Would you send him a little PAC money? And obviously, as all of you, if you've got a good candidate or good person represented, we always say, yes, we'll do it. And so we did. And ladies and gentlemen, he said that Representative Jack Sissom said that Representative Moore was a good man, and he would be a good legislator. And over the years, Jack Sissom's comments have not only proven true, his faith in Tim has proven true. Speaker Moore is a friend of ours, and certainly we value that friendship at North Carolina Farm Bureau. He's always open-minded. He's willing to meet with our legislative team. We look forward for great things out of him and his tenure as Speaker of the North Carolina House of Representatives. Let's give a warm Farm Bureau welcome to our Speaker, Tim Moore. Speaker Moore.
Good morning. I found out this morning that Dennis Martin really is secretly a Carolina fan. Isn't that true? Half, and that's right. Well, good morning. It was good to be with you yesterday evening, and it's certainly good to be here today. You've got a great team advocating for Farm Bureau here in Raleigh. You need to know that. Larry Wooten does a wonderful job, and Jake Parker does a great job, and they have a lot of respect around the General Assembly. And this organization has a lot of respect and a lot of supporters at the General Assembly. We have, one thing we're trying to do this year is to make sure that we're pushing agriculture from the economic development standpoint at the legislature. We know the importance of farming from one end of the state to the other. We know that agriculture, if you think about some of the distressed areas of eastern North Carolina, agriculture is the thing. It is the thing that will turn eastern North Carolina around in a lot of areas, and we're seeing that happen. I had the privilege a few months ago to take a tour down through Duplin County. Was down there, actually went bear hunting, but that's another story. We don't have time for all of that. Made it out somehow. But had a chance to visit a lot of agricultural operations and get a sense and see what's going on. And it's interesting to note to see the difference of farming all across the state. I'm certainly familiar with the farming in my part of the state in Cleveland County, but over the years I've had the opportunity through this job to get around and really go to all corners of the state, probably to go to operations that some of you here today are affiliated with. And it gives you an appreciation. You know, a lot of people, particularly those in cities, think food comes from where? They think it comes from the grocery store. Well, I mean, those of us who understand it, and those of you in this room understand that food comes from farms. That we have to have policies in this state that promote agriculture. That we need to make sure we're doing all we can to make this a business-friendly state for agriculture. That we maintain the protection for family farms, and that we also adopt policies that allow the larger operations to flourish. I've seen the 4 priorities of Farm Bureau this year, the initiative at the Plant Science Institute there at NC State, and I think that's a great program. That's the kind of operation that will pay dividends for years to come, and it's something that we definitely need to do. Preserving the agricultural sales tax exemptions, certainly support that. That's critical. In a lot of ways, we get into talking. If I start talking tax policy reform, you'll need extra coffee to keep you awake. It's not that fun, but a lot of us think that really goes into the what's called B2B or business to business tax. It's a business operation, and we need to treat it as such, and we need to respect that. I also agree with preserving the present use value tax program. It's a great program. when I ran for the House, one of the reasons that I ran back in 2002, I'm a lawyer in my other life, and I was meeting with folks, and there were actually some folks, Dennis and Ron, from up in Kaiser, that where they had left. They were trying to do something with the farm. They weren't able to do it. They weren't able to operate it anymore. They'd gotten up there in years, and the kids really didn't want to do it. There was a grandson who wanted to be involved in it, and they got into how do we plan it to pass this property along and be able to save this farm, and the hoops that we had to jump through to avoid all the tax issues that could cause them to, the heirs to eventually lose that farm. It was ridiculous. And I was calling Raleigh, and we were had an accountant dealing with Washington, but it seemed like nobody tried to help. It seemed like every time you called someone, you were just getting the runaround. And it just struck me that this was a family who had worked all their lives. They'd never gotten public assistance or whatever. I mean, they had worked their whole lives to have this operation, to have a farm. And then at a point when they got where they couldn't do it anymore and wanted to be able to pass it on to their family, the government was trying to take it. I just didn't think that was right. And that was one of the things that among others, that got me to want to run for office. So from day one, an understanding and an appreciation of agriculture, particularly a lot of in our county, it's mostly small farmers in our region of the state. Irvin's got a great berry farm over there. When I was a kid, Irvin, I used to go there with Mom sometimes and get blackberries. That's not fun picking those things. Not blackberries, but that's not fun picking those things. That's hard work. And I appreciate the hard work that's there. There was a story we used to tell. I used to like telling it when Jack Sissom was around, Larry, of when the soybean field caught on fire. I didn't know that would happen. I did not know that could happen. I really didn't. And my dad owned a store out there, actually very close to Irvin's farm. And I grew up working in that store. And I'm in there doing whatever I'm doing, and look across the field, and the soybean field is on fire. What happened? The combines, it was the cotton. It was cotton that time. Cotton, apparently it struck a rock and a spark happened, and that thing was gone. So I went over there with a fire extinguisher trying to help them, thinking that did not work. Look around, you see fire here, you see fire here, there's fire in front of you, turn around and see it. That's when I decided I was not going to be a farmer. It wasn't that I'd be safe for going to law school. So there you go. But that's a true story. And Jack used to tell it for years, because I just got a brand new pair of shoes, and I was stomping the fire out. It ruined those, and pants were all singed. I looked like I'd been at a firefighting exercise. And anyway, I'll never forget that. But I do want to point out a few things. Aaron Fleming. Aaron, raise your hand if you would. Aaron is my policy advisor on agriculture and education. We stole him from the Lee County schools. He is presently working on his doctorate. He's a state grad. He was very active in the FFA. He is a farmer, and he is the guy that I turn to that's working on my staff to advise on issues. And I want you to know that we rely very heavily on the Farm Bureau. We rely very heavily on a lot of the other agricultural organizations in the state. And I assure you that my office will do all we can to be friendly, to support agriculture, to support the Farm Bureau, and we're here anytime we can be of assistance. But I want to thank you all for being in Raleigh for these couple of days. I hope you have a productive trip. I don't know if y'all are going to be around Jones Street or not today, but if you are over,
they're going to the farm show today.
They're going, okay. That's a whole lot more interesting than Jones Street then. We've got an interesting, this evening, if anybody's around and wants to, the governor's given the State of the State address this evening at session. I think it's at 7, if I'm not mistaken. And so consider this a personal invitation to come and be there if you'd like to. We don't have good food like y'all did last night at your reception, but we'll roll the red carpet out for you and have you there. If I can be of assistance to you, please let me know. And I know Representative Hastings is here. I want to make sure that he's represents Gaston and Cleveland. And I think Larry already introduced Rena Turner and Shirley Randleman, who were here also. But thank you all, and God bless.